This is the Unintentional ASMR Book Club. If you're new here, welcome. You're just in time for the bedtime stories. Tonight's book is called A Thousand Splendid Suns, and this is part 2. So, let's begin. Sometimes, Nana said early one morning, as she was feeding the chickens outside the kolba, I wish my father had had the stomach to sharpen one of his knives and do the honorable thing. It might have been better for me. She tossed another handful of seeds into the coop, paused and looked at Mariam. Better for you too, maybe. It would have spared you the grief of knowing that you are what you are. But he was a coward, my father. He didn't have the the heart for it. Jalil didn't have the either, Nana said, to do the honorable thing, to stand up to his family, to his wives and in-laws, and accept responsibility for what he had done. Instead, behind closed doors, a face-saving deal had quickly been struck. The next day, he had made her gather her few things from the servants' quarters, where she'd been living, and sent her off. You know what he told his wives by way of defense? That I forced myself on him, that it was my fault. Did he? You see, this is what it means to be a woman in this world. Nana put down the bowl of chicken feed. She lifted Mariam's chin with a finger. Look at me, Mariam. Reluctantly, Mariam did. Nana said, learn this now and learn it well, my daughter. Like a compass needle that points north, a man's accusing finger always finds a woman. Always. You remember that, Mariam. To Jalil and his wives, I was a pokerut, a mugwort. You too, and you weren't even born yet. What's a mugwort? Mariam asked. A weed, Nana said. Something you rip out and toss aside. Mariam frowned internally. Jalil didn't treat her as a weed. He never had. But Mariam thought it wise to suppress this protest. Unlike weeds, I had to be replanted, you see, given food and water on account of you. That was the deal Jalil made with his family. Nana said she had refused to live in Herat. For what? To watch him drive his Kinchini wives around town all day? She said she wouldn't live in her father's empty house either, in the village of Gul Daman, which sat on a steep hill 2 kilometers north of Herat. She said she wanted to live somewhere removed, detached, where neighbors wouldn't stare at her belly, point at her, snicker, or worse yet, assault her with insincere kindnesses. And believe me, Nana said, it was a relief to your father having me out of sight. It suited him just fine. It was Muhsin Jalil's eldest son by his first wife, Khadija, who suggested the clearing. It was on the outskirts of Gul Daman. To get to it, one took a rutted uphill dirt track that branched off the main road between Herat and Gul Daman. The track was flanked on either side by knee-high grass and speckles of white and bright yellow flowers. The track snaked uphill and led to a flat field where poplars and cottonwoods soared and wild bushes grew in clusters. From up there, one could make out the tips of the rusted blades of Gul Daman's windmill on the left and on the right. All of Herat spread below. The path ended perpendicular to a wide, trout-filled stream which rolled down from the Safed Koh mountains surrounding Gul Daman. 200 yards upstream toward the mountains, there was a circular grove of weeping willow trees. In the center, in the shade of the willows, was a clearing. Jalil went there to have a look. When he came back, Nana said he sounded like a warden bragging about the clean walls and shiny floors of his prison. And so your father built us this rat hole. Nana had almost married once. When she was 15, the suitor had been a boy from Shindand, a young parakeet seller. Mariam knew the story from Nana herself, and though Nana dismissed the episode, Mariam could tell by the wistful light in her eyes that she had been happy, perhaps for the only time in her life. During those days leading up to her wedding, Nana had been genuinely happy. As Nana told the story, Mariam sat on her lap and pictured her mother being fitted for a wedding dress. She imagined her on horseback, smiling shyly behind a veiled green gown, her palms painted red with henna, her hair parted with silver dust, the braids held together by tree sap. She saw musicians blowing the shanai flute and banging on dohol drums, street children hooting and giving chase. Then, a week before the wedding date, a jinn had entered Nana's body. This required no description to Mariam. She had witnessed it enough times with her own eyes. Nana collapsing suddenly, her body tightening, becoming rigid, her eyes rolling back, her arms and legs shaking as if something were throttling her from the inside. The froth at the corners of her mouth, white, sometimes pink with blood. Then the drowsiness, the frightening disorientation, the incoherent mumbling. When the news reached Shindand, the parakeet seller's family called off the wedding. They got spooked. was how Nana put it. The wedding dress was stashed away. After that, there were no more suitors. Alright, so that was part 2 of A Thousand Splendid Suns. If you do like it, give it a like, and share it. Share it with the world. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. What are you waiting for? Subscribe now. So, until then, I wish you have a great night and sleep well. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.